IPMNation.com.
Live from the Transitional Radio Uplink in Cuenca, Ecuador, you're listening to All Natural Being with guest host Henry G. Noel. What's the G stand for? Giddy up on IPMNation.com. Here's Henry.
/Transitional Radio Official. Welcome to Lee Words Wednesday, and thank you for joining us this evening. This is the 344th episode of Brian Brody's All Natural Being, the #1 rated show on IPM Nation, and brought to you by Transitional Radio. We are live this evening on IPMNation.com, allnaturalbeing.com, and the new Brian Brody app, with fly-on-the-wall video, or as Brian refers to it, the shunt cam, on Facebook and YouTube, and rebroadcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and a whole host of others. We're broadcasting live from our international uplink studio in Cuenca, Ecuador. And I want to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it possible for us to broadcast globally. I also thank our trusted listeners, for without you, things would be quite quiet here. I appreciate those listening live on radio and those listening to our rebroadcasts. I also want to thank the listeners who have been sending emails. I thank you very much for all the encouragement. I appreciate it. And I want to thank our fly-on-the-wall video listeners. I do find it far more enjoyable having your participation in the thread and sharing your ideas. So to all our global listeners from the United States, Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and Ireland, our good friends right here in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Nigeria, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Thailand, Belgium, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Egypt, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, Colombia, Peru, Greece, Poland, Cambodia, and New Zealand. Thank you for investing your valuable time with us. Now, we realize there are many, many options out there where you could be spending your time. So I want to thank you personally for spending it with us. It's great to have you here. My name is Henry Noel, guest hosting for the amazing but out of commission Brian Brody. And I am thrilled to be filling in for our virtual hitchhiker. So from our southern garden spot of the mortals, we want you to understand your life is still your labyrinth. And you, regardless of what you think and believe, get to call all the shots. Now, why subjugate yourself to the whims of others? You were dealt this hand, so why not play it with all the gusto you can muster and play it the way you want to play it? No one should have more control over your life than you. So why succumb to your critics? Why allow the beliefs of others to derail you from your all-natural being? Don't get caught up in all the BS that others try to feed you. Use your primal scream to stand firm and proud, front and center, and don't place yourself on the back burner. That's why we're here, to be your friendly force, to place your heart's highest priority top of the list, reinstating the true wisdom and wallop of your inner whisper, to terminate the turbulence in your life, garnish the guilt that you hold on to and won't let go, and streamline your sensibility so you can face this crazy world head on and out brutal the brutal to bring on your own bold once and for all. I'm trusting everyone has had a good day, and I want to thank you for joining me on this Lee Words Wednesday. And man, do we have a show for you this evening. Lee Rowley is in the house, and we will be discussing the ethics of persuasion. We have all had experience dealing with marketing people. Some experiences have been good, and some, well, let's just say questionable. Lee will be sharing his views on the subject of ethics, and I'm really looking forward to what he has to say. So let's get into the thread and see who's visiting with us this evening, and then we'll bring on Lee. Good evening, everybody. Let's see if we can find out I've got to get to the right spots and see if we can get into the actual thread. And looks like I'm not going to be able to do that this evening. I will see what I can do about getting in there. Nope, I'm going to have to disregard the thread here because I can't seem to locate it. So this is typical, I guess. We'll have to just deal with this as we go through. I'll find out what it is I'm doing wrong and hopefully get some help at some point in time here. But let's see what we've got over here. I'll see if I can do it again. And looks like no. There we go. I did get it. Look at that. Man, oh man. I did there, Wayne. I need a degree on this one. Janelle, I want to thank you for joining us. Dana, thank you so much for being here with us. I appreciate that. Alice, thank you too. Appreciate you being here. John, trusted John, how are you, sir? I see my brother signed in, and I appreciate it. And I see Lee signed in, so that's great. So since Marcia, welcome. Good evening to you. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead, since the thread is a little slow right at the moment, let's go ahead and see what we can do about getting started here, if Wayne's ready. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce from Sales Copy Academy, the remarkable, the impeccable Lee.
I am fantastic, Henry. How are you? We try to keep it interesting. I don't know.
Trying to fill Mr. Brody's shoes. I don't know. I thought he had small feet, but my gosh. But I'm having fun trying to do this, and I really am. And I thank you for your support and for joining in and coming here and doing this.
Absolutely, my friend.
Well, you picked a great topic and a very interesting one for me because I am so much into the ethics and so much into what it was like, and I've worked in manufacturing and business most of my career, and I this is something that I've always found fascinating. And so what I wanted to do, if I could just jump in and ask you a question, we'll get this whole thing going, if that's okay with you.
Hey, fire away.
Okay, well, my first question to you, Lee, is this. Because ethics is such a subjective judgment. And what I mean by that is ethics deals in the right and wrong of things. And since right and wrong are individual perceptions, would you say ethical marketing or ethical persuasion is more of a strategy or more of a philosophy for people and or a company?
I really think that it's both. I think that it has to start with as a philosophy, but it becomes a strategy too, insofar as we've talked before that words have lives of their own, and that the nuances and meaning when we create those words, be it on a video or in a blog post or in a sales letter or in an email or anywhere else, those words convey those nuances. And when you're marketing in a way that is congruent with who you are and what your ethics are as a person and as a business person, then that shows through those words. That creates that authenticity that you just absolutely cannot fake no matter how hard you try. So I think it's critically important, again, not only as a philosophy of wanting to do good and to be good in the world, but also as a strategy in terms of being able to be seen as authentic, to be seen as trustable, to be seen as somebody that you want to stay loyal to and continue buying from for years or even decades in the future.
Gotcha. I love that. Thank you. That's a great answer. I'm going to jump up to the thread just in case there's some questions in here.
Okay.
It's getting a little bit more active, which is kind of good. I kind of like that. Let's see. We've got, hi, Shane. How are you, sir? It's good to see you. Well, lost. Well, at least it's just the audio that you lost there, Shane. That's good. You didn't lose me anyway. Although that could be a thought at times. John, again, let's see. Okay, there we go. So the sound is back. My voice is back. That's works. Candace joined us. Thank you, Candace. Hey, Lee. There you go. Hey, Lee from Candace.
Hey, Candace, how's it going?
I love it. Okay, so how does establishing an ethical philosophy help a company overall?
Again, it goes back to that trust. We're lowering barriers to entry in all kinds of businesses, especially lowering barriers to entry into marketing online. Creates so much competition in any niche that niches that we would not have even conceived of 5 years ago, or definitely 10 years ago, are overcrowded now with marketers and with businesses competing for the same mind share, for the same attention, for the same dollars. And we're in this place that it's probably no surprise to you that we're being persuaded, and we're persuading every single minute that we're awake. It's from now being in this connected world, and we've talked about this before. So about how you've got this supercomputer now in your pocket that is being used to persuade, or to attempt to persuade you, constantly, every time you get on Facebook, and even when you're not actively listening or actively looking for something. Those ads, those marketing tactics are constantly interrupting your day and attempting to pull you away from what you're doing and persuade you to come over and take advantage of whatever it is they have to offer, be it information, be it a product, be it a service, or what have you. There's just so much noise and so much competition that what we're starting to see is that authenticity, that ethical approach to marketing is helping, especially brandpreneurs, differentiate from the rest of the pack. So again, it's critically important.
Very good. Now, dealing with ethical persuasion, fill us in. Tell us about what it is and how it fits into, well, I guess not only just companies or just not for marketing, but for people. In our daily lives. Give us examples of how we deal with this, actually do deal with it every day.
Well, right. I mean, sometimes we associate persuasion with good things. I mean, like, teaching your child how to walk, or teaching your child how to ride a bike, persuading them to continue to do that even when they fall over and skin their knees. I mean, that's not all persuasion is bad, but we tend to see it as bad. When we think of persuasion, when we think of sales, what comes to mind is, that the used car salesman with the plaid jacket and the paisley tie is just like, hey, I'm going to put you in the perfect car. You're going to look great in that Maserati, that sort of thing. And just the whole slimy sales tactics. I mean, that's why we've got people in a scale. If you look at a scale of people who are terrified of appealing manipulative, and so they don't want to persuade anybody at all, which I see a lot in business, especially in the coaching industry. It's just people that's like, they don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to feel pushy. They don't want to feel like they're manipulating somebody. And then on the other scale, you have the by any means necessary people who are just like, screw ethics, whatever we got to do to get you to buy this thing, even if it means telling you you're going to turn into Jason Momoa, it's we're gonna do it. Most of us kind of fall, I think, on the left side of that bell curve. More in the we don't want to seem pushy, we don't want to seem manipulative. So, right. But it doesn't have to be done in a bad way. I found this interesting definition of ethical persuasion that I wanted to share with you. This is not mine, but okay. I think it's a good working definition for what we're talking about here. And they've defined ethical persuasion as a human being's internal ability to treat others with respect, understanding, caring, and fairness to 1, explore the other person's viewpoint, 2, explain your viewpoint, and 3, create resolutions.
Okay.
When we talked earlier, I noticed that the resolutions part was what really resonated with both of us.
Yes.
In that whole thing that, it's not about getting you to to buy because I want you to buy. It's getting you to buy because it's going to improve your life. Like teaching a child not to go out in a busy street.
Right.
Persuading them not to do that. Okay. If we're creating good for all parties involved, then to me it's ethical persuasion. But it's still pretty fuzzy, right? But to me at least is a good starting point, a jumping off point to not get into that point where every time you are selling yourself or persuading somebody to do something, you're not feeling disgusting. You're not feeling like that used car salesman, or like you need to have a hazmat suit on, just be able to live with yourself after doing something right?
Absolutely get it. I totally get it. Candace posted a good question. She goes, Lee, do you think some are just in it for the people or what sells, but not necessarily in it for themselves or what they honestly feel about the dollars?
Oh, I have worked with a lot of marketers over the last 10 years, and there is definitely a subset of those marketers who fit into what you're talking about. It's about the dollars. It doesn't matter who they hurt in the process. Now, I will say that's an overwhelming minority. I mean, I think most people fall toward the left side of the bell curve, where they're a little more concerned with not wanting to appear manipulative and not wanting to feel sleazy in what they're doing. But yeah, over on the other end of the spectrum, you definitely have the people that will sell you your dead grandmother. It's just yeah, absolutely. And it's important to be careful of those things because it's easy to forget that the sense of ethics that I have and the sense of ethics that you have, Henry, and the sense of ethics that you have, Candace, are not shared by everybody. So it's important to be vigilant and as we say in the business, CYA.
That's it. That's true. Hi, Jamie. How are you? Thank you and welcome. I appreciate it. Hi to you too. From us guys, we appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Okay, question for you then.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to be a little bit off the cuff with this one, but marketing and ethics. Now, come on, really? I mean, like you mentioned, car dealers. I've been to car dealers. My experience was, ethics of persuasion is almost oxymoronic, as almost like found missing or military intelligence. Does ethics really exist in marketing? And if so, what is the ethical way to sell things?
Of course. I believe that ethics do exist in marketing, and you're not going to see it all the time. Again, I have seen it a lot more since narrowing my focus to the brandpreneurs, and a lot of them that we consider themselves heartpreneurs, which seems to be a relatively new term, to where they're concerned with being authentic, they're concerned with selling the right way. Because again, it goes back to if you sell the wrong way, if you sell in a hard, slimy manner, then you might make some sales. But are you going to build fans? Are you going to build that tribe that's going to come back again and again? Because for me and for the brandpreneurs that I work for, my goal isn't to just create initial sales or to give them an initial bump. It's to be able to develop that fan base, the people that will keep coming back and buying everything that you have to sell, that will sustain you for decades, the people that will throw rocks at your enemies for you. This to me is what I'm seeing emerge in marketing. And in order to do that, it does require ethics. And to be honest with you, I don't have some 37-step magic, formula for, infusing ethics into your sales marketing.
Right.
To me, it really just comes down to the very simple golden rule that appears in just about every belief system and every religion under the sun since the dawn of recorded history. If in everything that I write, I'm asking myself, how would I feel about that if somebody pulled that marketing trick on me? Sometimes I don't mind. I mean, if it's something that led me to do something for myself or for someone else that I would not have otherwise done, and that's a good thing, then okay, if you kind of had to get in there and monkey with my cerebral, folds there a little bit, then I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Here's an example for you. I was at the grocery store picking up a few things last week, and so I'm going through the self checkout. Yeah, I know I'm one of these awful guys that goes through the self checkout. Woe is me. But yeah, I know, charlatans. But anyway, so the guy that's kind of he's kind of helping people out at the self checkout. How that works, I don't know. He's trying to sell these donation tickets for the local children's hospital here in Columbus, right? So the thing, if you've seen these things in the grocery store, they do this all the time in the United States, it's like, hey, would you like to donate $1? And if you do, then they have you write your name on a little sticky thing and they stick it on the wall, right? So, and he was kind of bummed because, he's going to the guy next to me and he's like, would you like to donate $1 to this children's hospital? And he was just like, no, but I would like a carton of cigarettes now, that sort of thing. And the guy's just like, he looks completely heartbroken, like, good grief, are there really people in this world that it's like, that self-absorbed? Yes, there are. So I took him aside and I'm like, okay, you know what? Don't feel bad. I'll tell you what, let's do a little experiment here. I said, and walk up to people and say, would you like to donate $5 to Children's Hospital? And when they say no, you go, okay, how about $1? Could you do $1? And he says, all right, I'll give it a try. So he walks up to the next person, he gets $1 donation. He walks up to the next person, he does this again, and he gets $1 donation. He walks up to the next person and says, would you like to donate $5? And the lady says, sure, I'll do that. And this kid's beating, he's doing good. He's doing good for the kids. The people that are donating get to feel good. They're giving to the kids. It's a win-win for everybody. Yes, it's manipulation, but how is that a bad thing?
Well, exactly. I mean, especially when it's for the right reasons, and when it's especially for the causes that people, people are very generous. They really are, and a lot of it is in the approach. And I think you're absolutely right. It's non-intimidating and it's done very sincerely. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that at all. And so thank you. Well, that's great. That's a great experience. Jamie mentions, he says, oh, no one should sell anything they don't love. And Candace says, I'm proud of you for stressing ethics. I'm sure some have none. Yeah, I mean, yes, Candace, I absolutely agree with you. I know there's many that don't. Yes.
Jamie, you're absolutely right. Candace, thank you very much. I know that I'm kind of in the unpopular crowd in some of the marketing circles just for that reason. They're like, yeah, we don't want to talk to this guy. He's talking about authenticity and ethics and things. There's something wrong with him, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to make enemies along the way, and I'm perfectly fine with my road to success being paved with those people.
There you go. I'm just surprised you didn't whip out something out of your pocket and say, no, but would you mind donating $1 for that?
Again, that could be seen as a manipulative tactic. I mean, it's a simple concession tactic. Will you do something ridiculous? No. Okay. Well, will you do something reasonable? Okay. Yeah, sure. I guess.
Yeah. There you go.
So feel free to use that. That's not mine, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I wish I'd invented that. So, but again, I mean, it hit those 3 points that we're talking about in ethical persuasion. It explored the other person's viewpoint of being willing to donate it all and being willing to donate at certain levels. It explored his viewpoint, which it was a contest. I forgot to mention that, but he wanted to win the contest and he wanted to help the kids, and he created the resolutions, which means he got people to get out their credit cards.
And that's absolutely fabulous. That really is really good at it. Since ethical and unethical practices sit literally on the opposite sides of almost an invisible line. I mean, for example, a simple omission about a company's product or service, could be perceived as unethical. So
absolutely.
How do you market to I guess to preserve or enhance the company's image, or I think better, the brand, because everything is being forced or being pushed into the brand recognition, the importance of the brand. And I mean, and you look at like Kleenex, when you want a tissue, you ask for Kleenex. I mean, if a mom's looking for a disposable diaper, it's either a Huggies or a Pampers. These are brand recognitions where they've actually become the item that they were out there to make. And to me, you're probably the best examples of some of the most successful branding that I've ever seen. I mean, nobody asks for a tissue. Can I have a Kleenex? And it may not be there may be a puffs that they get, but it's still referred to Kleenex. I mean, that is brilliant marketing. But if a company simply omitted data or omitted facts, how do we deal with that? And especially in the enhancing of a company's image or a brand.
Well, I mean, obviously we have to look at the gravity of those. Of that omission. I mean, it depends what we're talking about. I always err on the side of being able to admit what a product is, and more importantly, what it isn't, or a service, or anything else. To be very clear about that. Nobody is expecting you to be perfect or to do everything. No product you buy is perfect. And in those cases where there are limitations, I mean, I'm going to talk about SaaS, software as a service, just as an example, because it's something that I run into all the time. Is that the software subscription services that are willing to be upfront about, hey, if X is what you're looking for, this is not the right product for you.
Right.
That goes a long way toward their success, because they're setting those expectations up front. So not only do people trust them more to buy from them, they deal with fewer refunds. So then that maximizes their profitability right there, because they don't have anybody making assumptions that it does X and then buying it and finding out, oh wait, it doesn't. So then not only do you have to give them a refund, then they start telling everybody they know that you misled them when you sell them the product. Even though you gave them the money back, you're still creating bad PR for yourself.
Absolutely true. Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. Want to say hi to Marcellus. He's signed on with us. I thank you very much, Marcellus. Great to see you. William Swan. Let's see. I got to make the screen a little bit bigger here. Is ethical promotion a relatively new concept? I'm thinking of the off-the-wall claims of many marketers in the past. This is from William.
Okay. First of all, hey, William. It's good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. And, this is not something I've really heard talked about in the past. You're talking about off-the-wall claims. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, but the two things that spring to mind are the late night infomercials, the Billy Mays, like, but wait, there's more, sort of things. And of course, the print equivalent, which were the direct mail pieces that went down in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, these monstrous 8-page long form sales things where they just basically got you to buy by grinding you down, and you just more and more and more. And finally, okay, whatever, get it, just I'll buy the thing just so I don't have to read this damn letter. So you really didn't hear a whole heck of a lot about ethics like that. At least I didn't. And it's really, to me, only been within the last 4 or 5 years that I've started seeing a significant push toward more ethical marketing. Whether that means I've had my head in the sand, I don't know.
Good. Thank you very much.
It's always a possibility. So yeah.
No, I don't think so. Candace says, Lee, just curious, have you ever told someone you couldn't help them because of ethics or not feeling comfortable with what they want you to do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love to rip off some examples. That there's for legal reasons, it's probably not a real great idea. But yeah, there definitely have been companies, not a whole lot, just because of the way I'm branded myself is that they don't usually show up at my door to begin with anymore. But there definitely have been big companies that I have chosen not to work with because they're wanting to make claims that are not only make me feel uncomfortable but that can violate laws and get us both into legal trouble. You especially will see that in the supplement industry, at least I do, where there's this idea of you and I know that in the United States there's lots of, even in Europe there's lots of things you can't say about products. There's lots of claims that you can't make. But then this thing becomes like, oh, okay, well, nobody knows who we are, so we can kind of fly under the radar and say whatever we want for a while. And that doesn't work. You can end up with some pretty stiff fines that way. But again, the more important thing too is just that the ethical concern of not doing it in the first place, because what of the harm that you're creating in the customers that are believing things that aren't true and buying products and services based on those misdirections.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are plenty of people out there who will write that stuff, and I am just not one of them. I like to sleep at night.
There you go. And I love the ethics. It's so good. Amy writes back. He says, I've seen seminars charge cover of $5 or $10 to engage people because if it's free, it doesn't feel legit. Your opinion?
That is, yeah. And that actually goes up through the roof. I mean, yeah, there's this perception, and about 10 years ago when ebooks were still really a thing, it was so simple for somebody to slap together an 8-page ebook that said absolutely nothing, and with information they could have scraped off of whatever third world website. But they're, just giving it out there to get leads so that they can bug the crap out of people to buy their products. And so a lot of that's how recently the idea of free has become synonymous with worthless. You can have the best information in the world. If you're giving it away for free, people are less likely to do anything with it. I mean, let's compare. Okay, so one of my things lately has been working on building funnels, which is a process that takes a new lead from, hey, nice to know you, to I want to buy all the things you have. Okay, so and that's an intricate thing, and it's got a lot of technical things that I don't understand because I'm getting old. But if I look at a free source, here, download this free ebook and it'll tell you exactly how to build this funnel. I'm just, I may download it, but chances are I'm never going to read it. So I'm never going to find out whether or not you actually know what you're talking about. If I pay, if it's one of those what they call tripwires, which is a low dollar offer, usually like $7 or $17 for information like that, then I might take it a little more seriously. I might thumb through it because, okay, I paid $7 for it. I should at least look for this thing. But if you're charging $5,000 for me to go to a live workshop, you can bet your butt I am going to be there. I'm going to be paying attention. I'm going to be taking notes. I'm going to be implementing these things. So, I definitely see a correlation there where we're charging for things and even charging high dollar amounts for information, even information that they could find for free elsewhere. It can be a huge benefit if for no other reason that it motivates you to actually show up and take advantage of it.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's if you pay more money, you're more apt to then follow through because you have a lot more to lose financially if you don't do that. And so sometimes that is an encouragement. Candace wanted to, this I think is in reference to the fact that you said you have actually turned down doing jobs for people, and she simply said, "Good for you, Lee." And I want to thank you. Good. No,
I was gonna say I have absolutely no problem with that. I've got a list of about 97 things. I mean, like like Martin Luther or something. I've got my list of things, and I'll just be like, "Sorry, hit the bricks, buddy. You gotta go."
I love it. And I want to welcome Lori. To the thread. Rita, thank you for coming in. Oh, Matt Connerton, thank you for joining with us. Appreciate that. Thank you, man. Look forward to some comments there, Matt. A question I've got for you. How about a scenario? Okay, I'm the head of XYZ company, have been known to be rather unethical, and putting out either poor quality or something overstating the ability of a brand, and have finally, I guess, gotten to a point to where it now gets to me, and I have those sleepless nights, and I want to turn the company around. I want the image to be done. What is the process? I mean, how do you go about doing that? Because I know it's a cultural thing within the company, and I also know that it is a philosophical thing that we have to deal with. So what do you do? How do we get my company back into good graces?
Well, yeah, okay. So first of all, you've been selling a shoddy product, so you scoundrel. And yeah, right. Let's get that out of the way right now. You scoundrel, scallywag. No, Noel. No. All right, I'm gonna stop now. I don't know why. I don't know how I slipped off into a fake British accent, but it happens. Irish, whatever it was. Look, I mean, there are a few things that people love that are more than a good comeback story. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes that's a redemption story. And you definitely, if you had XYZ Corporation and you've been treating customers crappy for the last 25 years or whatever, and you decide you want to change your image, I mean, that's definitely not out of the question. The first thing is being able to be completely open, honest, and even broadcast your acknowledgement of what you did wrong. I mean, we've seen commercials before where companies have said, wow, we would really drop the ball on this, and we really did people wrong, but you know what, we're setting out to fix that, and here's what we're doing, and being transparent about that plan. That could work wonders. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying go out and like screw people over for 25 years and then then make good, but there's all that transition gives you that so much attention that it can actually work into your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's true. And being the scoundrel that I am,
I'm not sure if that was an ethical thing for me to say or not, but whatever.
Well, so many companies, have been caught in that. I mean, automotive industry has been, is a classic example of that. Putting out products, pumping up the quality, pumping up all of this stuff that it does, and then they sell 500,000 cars and they recall 600,000 for the problems that they've had, and I mean, and obviously it still goes on. So and here you talk about the toughness of this company's cars, and the classic design of this company's cars, and yet every day you see a recall of a product. The fight and the problems and trying to come back from that negative publicity and still maintain your market share for one, but the credibility of the name. How do you process that? How do you go through and identify the avenues with which a company has to go to do that? I mean, that's a big bite to do, to have to say, okay, yep, we got great cars, great quality, and whoops, we got to announce a recall.
I understand that. Well, I mean, to me, it's again about communicating the planning. I mean, it's assuming you're not talking about a recall that's killing anybody. I mean, like I'm thinking like the Firestone tires on the Ford Explorers back in the early 2000s. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, there was a rash of that where people were actually getting killed. I mean, yeah, but that's a little short of that, assuming we're not actually killing people here. It's really about being transparent about that plan, because consumers don't expect you to be perfect. In my 10 years of marketing experience, I've never once seen where consumers at large were unwilling to forgive a company that was willing to turn around and say, hey, we've made these mistakes and here's how we're going to change them.
Very good, very good. Candace says, Lee, be sure to give us the heads up if Henry is selling anything. Thanks, Candace. Love you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Oh, God. I'll be sure to give everybody fair warning on that. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll have to get into the loudmouth pants and the plaid shirt before I do that. Oh gosh. So go ahead.
I was gonna say you don't need the comb over, so you're good there. All right.
One of the fortunate things, exactly.
Absolutely. I'm still jealous.
Don't be. I have to spend a lot more time on this.
Mm-hmm.
If how about some? We've talked a lot about business. And Jamie just sent in another message here into the thread. So, what's your opinion on play on words marketing? Oh, wow, good question. A car company back in the '60s said, "Bring your wife down and we'll dicker." Realizing the market was women who purchase. Ooh.
Okay. Again, I mean, what's the outcome? Is the outcome good for everyone involved? To that, I don't personally see a problem with that. I mean, that's realistically just, to speak to, let's say, to speak to the dynamic, I guess. Knowing it, even though it's a play on words. I mean, I don't see that as trickery to the point of, I want to say, misdirection. I just see it. I see that as clever, and I don't really see it as manipulation. I don't know. I suppose it could be in certain circumstances.
Gotcha. I understand, and playing on the sexual aspect of that. That does happen. I guess that they do use that and play on the words on that. See, and Jamie he concurred. Just I guess the undertone seems sexual and. Okay, yeah, and I guess it would have probably been meant that way too. I mean, to bargain back and forth, that's one thing, but yeah, that's there certainly could be the sexual connotation in there.
I think you have to be. I think you have to be willing to alienate a certain market with that. So I mean, I think that's maybe, to me, less of an ethical issue and more of a strategic choice in terms of like, okay, we know that we're going to offend somebody, and is it worth doing that? And my answer to that's always been yes. But because if I can get what I want, do good for people and offend somebody, well, I'm all over that. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Right in Brian's corner. I got to admit, they're right there. They're talking about having a thick skin and not letting things bother you. Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, it's all a matter of perception. It really is, and our perception. We've talked a lot about companies, and I know a lot of your work is with companies.
Sure.
But again, the whole concept of ethical persuasion in the everyday world of people, and I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but to go back and talk a little bit more about it in our personal world, because that's where we first wake up in the morning. It's our own personal world, and how we can better be ethically persuasive. One, I think, with ourselves, being honest with ourselves, and being, knowing that we can face the person in the mirror and not be embarrassed and not be frustrated at that, because obviously we know when we lie to ourselves. But how do we utilize the ethical side of persuasion for us personally?
Sure. Well, the first part of it for me, it always comes back to recognizing that the other person is not the object of what you want to happen, but is a human being, with their own concerns, their own background, their own feelings, their own agendas. And it comes back to coming up with a solution and presenting things in a way that's beneficial for both people. I mean, it's even in your personal life, there's a right way to get what you want, and there's a wrong way to get what you want. Okay. I mean, there is my wife listening to this? I'm gonna look see if before I. Okay. Oh, she's on. Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell it anyway. Screw it. I'm gonna get in trouble later, but that's all right. So one of us in this house has this addiction to the snooze button on their phone. Okay. And I mean, it's kind of an ongoing thing, and sometimes it goes on for an hour and a half in the morning. So, but I mean, there's an ethical right way to deal with that. That's somewhere in between, the person who doesn't have the snooze tag addiction, just putting their finger in their ears and dealing with it, and the person who doesn't have the snooze tag addiction, grabbing the phone and throwing it on the floor and stepping on it. I mean, somewhere in there's a solution that's beneficial for both parties, and I think that's what that ethics comes back to, is being able to create that win-win solution, rather than the manipulation and trying to make somebody feel bad, or the physical force of throwing the phone down and stomping on it. Somewhere in there is something that we can both feel good about, that's going to solve the problem and make us both feel good about the conversation, the persuasion that's taken place, right?
Absolutely right. Thank you. Great answer. Very great answer. Hey, Sales Copy Academy. Now you're teaching people how to write copy. You're teaching people how to present themselves or their companies the way they are. Okay. Ethics. How are you pushing the ethics into their writing and their ability to go ahead and present for themselves and their company?
The cornerstone of what we teach in Sales Copy Academy is that the better you know the person that you are persuading, the better your business is going to be, because it's going to be about building that long-term business, building that relationship, rather than just treating them as credit card number or as a wallet. So that's the first thing that we do, before we even go through, okay, this is how a headline works, or this is how a sales page works, or this is how you should set up an email sequence to bring back somebody who's been to your site and not bought anything. Before we get into any of that, we're really diving into fully understanding and being able to empathize with the person that you're selling to. It's what we would call an avatar in the marketing world, but I mean, really, it goes deeper than that, because it's a human being. So to me, that the rest of it just follows. When you create that base that everything is centered around the person that you're trying to help, the person that you're selling to, if you want to use it that way, then everything else it concentrically surrounds that, and you automatically, from the inside out, create copy, create messaging, create persuasion that is a win-win situation for both you and for the person that you are writing for, or creating a video for, or sending an email to.
Absolutely right. Well, thank you. I remember when I was in acupuncture school. I remember it's just a short story that we're taught in acupuncture. We're taught to try to eliminate the reason for the patient to come to the office. Get them better and let them enjoy their lives. And so that was always the goal, and that was always my goal. And then all of a sudden they pulled in and had a special seminar. And the title of the seminar was How to Keep Your Patients Coming Back to You.
Okay.
Man, I was down in that administration office so fast saying, what in the world are you doing? We're supposed to be treating patients so that we no longer have them. We're supposed to be working our way out of a job. And you're going to present a seminar on how to keep your patients coming to you. How unethical is that? Of course, I was kind of yelled out of the office, but that was, it was my shot at trying to get them to understand that, wow, you're talking both sides of your mouth, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. So, I've been through a lot of experiencing of that just on my own. So
sure.
It was an interesting moment at all, if you can say anything with it. Now we're down to 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you jump in and talk about what you feel like. The scoundrel here is going to go ahead and let you go ahead and do some
scoundrel. Today's episode of All Natural Being You, brought to you by the word scoundrel. You have to say it in that accent and kind of look at the camera sideways like this when you say it. Otherwise, it doesn't have the same effect as you scoundrel. Right. Or... Listen, I mean, again, it all comes back to, if you have something to offer, and you do, I do believe, as I've said before, that everybody has their own story, and that your story has the ability to connect with other people in a way that nobody else can. Your story intersecting with their story can create massive, meaningful change for people. And to me, that's better than any sales goal that you could crush through, or number of units, or any income that can come in your bank. When you are able to say that you make your living, or at least part of it, genuinely creating good for other people, then there's just, to me, there's nothing better to be able than to be able to know that I made a difference in somebody's life. And there are so many people that I see that are poised to do that have that brilliance, but yet they don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to persuade. They don't want to have to be like, okay, I can't write about myself and talk about how great I am. And I know that if Brian's watching this, I'm going to hear it tomorrow, because he just told me this morning, he's just like, you know what, your biggest problem that I have with you is that you can't take a compliment. So I realize that I've got three fingers pointing back at me here when I say that. I don't even know how many fingers I have. Apparently, I need to stop and count these things once in a while. But realistically, have I completely lost track of what I was talking about? I think I did. So now I'm just going to have to babble for a while until I get back on track and realize what I'm talking about. Is that no matter what it is that you have, you're going to have to persuade others. And it doesn't have to be unethical. It doesn't have to be slimy. It doesn't have to feel inauthentic. That when you are selling and you're creating messaging that's in alignment with who you are as a person and what your values are, that you really, unless you're on that far right side where the anything goes constituency, you really need to worry as much about persuasion as you think you do, in terms of, am I going to be seen as manipulative? If you're passionate about what you do and you're communicating how you can help others, then everything else just kind of falls into place. Beautiful.
Lee, I can't thank you enough. I really can't. This is great. I just
Absolutely.
love Wednesdays. I love the conversations that we can have. And I know I speak for everybody that's in the thread. At least I will presume to speak for everybody in the thread. To thank you so very much for coming on and spending your valuable time on here. I love it. Thank you. It's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous.
Thank you, Henry. And I'm gonna throw out a little nonsense here, since we have a few minutes left. If that's okay, sure. If I can just have the floor to just take this thing out in the weeds for a few minutes.
Go for it.
So I am publicly reaffirming my mission to, on live radio, sing a song with Tommy Chong. Okay. Oh. Now, some months ago, I announced my desire to interview Tommy Chong on a live radio show, and there was significant interest. Unfortunately, Tommy Chong didn't want to have anything to do with it. To the point, he's just like, hey man, who's the weird guy with the bow tie? Man, I don't know about that dude at all. He just, those are some good tacos. But but so I'm reaffirming here that we're not. My mission to not only interview Tommy Chong, but sing a song with Tommy Chong, because I got to come up with something better. So I think we're going to sing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life from Monty Python and Life of Brian. Something like that, but we're going to make that happen, right? So that's my pledge and guarantee to you right now, that sometime before I kick the bucket, that we are going to sing a song with Tommy Chong, and it all starts right here.
I love it. I just love it.
And there is your absolute nonsense for the evening. Go in peace.
I love it. Jamie says, thank you, Henry and Lee. Appreciate it. John, the truth will set you free.
Absolutely.
So, from all of the Meshuggah, absolutely true. Candace says let's see what Oh, he he smoked one with you.
Well, see, that was the thing, because I wanted to come. Not only did I want to do something bigger, I wanted to come up with something that rhymed with Chong. And the first thing that came to mind is something you can't do on public radio. So that's why we went to sing a song with Tommy Chong, right?
I love
that way it's family friendly.
Absolutely fabulous.
Right.
I love it. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for letting me hijack the bandwagon there for a minute. So that was fun.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Right. Okay.
And I want to thank you, Lee, so much again. I appreciate you jumping in on all of this. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody out there on the thread. Thank you again for participating. Thanks for being active. We really, really enjoy it. Again, I love Wednesdays. This is really so much fun. And again, I look forward to it. Everybody, write, email, whatever you need to do, get the messages going. I really do enjoy this. Thank you so very much for the evening. Thanks for spending that valuable time of yours with us. Thank you. Lee, thank you again. Absolutely delightful to have you here. Yeah, well, that ditto from me. This is the way it goes, Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Lee. Thank you. And everybody, I hope you all have a great evening. We'll be back tomorrow. Facebook.com/Transitional Radio Official, the new home of all natural being, and looking forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.
IPMNation.com.